Ever felt like your anxiety is a relentless shadow lurking in the corners of your mind and growing stronger with every passing day? What if I told you that some of the habits you've adopted to cope might actually be fueling the fire? Let's dive into the 6 surprising triggers that could be making your anxiety worse, and how to swap them for smarter, more effective strategies. But here's where it gets controversial. Some of these solutions might challenge what you've been told before. Ready to rethink your approach? Let's begin. The hidden culprits behind your anxiety. Anxiety disorders are more common than you might think. According to Prof. Oliver Robinson of University College London, 1 in 4 people experience clinically significant anxiety at some point in their lives. While anxiety is a natural response to danger, it often misfires in those with disorders. Reacting to harmless situations like social gatherings or even a harmless spider. The good news? Effective treatments like SSRIs, exposure therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy work for most people. But for those still struggling, lifestyle tweaks can make a world of difference. The catch? Some habits you think are helping might be doing the opposite. 1. Isolation, the double-edged sword. When anxiety strikes, it's tempting to retreat into solitude. But here's the twist. Avoiding social interactions can backfire. Prof. Robinson explains that isolation reinforces fears, making it harder to face situations like a party or a coffee date. Over time, this can lead to rumination, repetitive negative thoughts that feed anxiety and depression. The fix? Don't avoid your fears entirely. Start small. Meet a friend for coffee before joining a larger group. Evidence shows that gradual exposure helps your brain rewire its response to perceived threats. But what if you're not ready to take that step? Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you balance self-care with social engagement? 2. Alcohol, a temporary escape with long-term costs. A glass of wine might seem like the perfect unwind, but alcohol's effects are deceptive. While it initially boosts dopamine, the next day's anxiety can leave you feeling more anxious than before. Research even suggests that wine and Prosecco might be worse for anxiety than other drinks. Professor Robinson warns that relying on alcohol to cope can disrupt sleep and worsen symptoms. The alternative? Swap your nightcap for a caffeine-free herbal tea. The ritual of winding down matters just as much as the drink itself. But here's the debate. Is moderation the answer, or does it just mask the problem? What's your experience with alcohol and anxiety? Let's discuss. 3. Early alarms, the sleep anxiety cycle. Sleep deprivation and anxiety are a toxic duo. Lack of sleep impairs the brain's emotional regulation centers, while overactivating the amygdala, the fear hub. Professor Robinson recommends aiming for 8 hours of sleep, even if you're used to tossing and turning. Techniques like box breathing or a calming bedtime routine can help. But what if your anxiety is tied to work stress? Avoid checking emails before bed, as it can trigger a spiral of worry. This is the part most people miss. Your environment before sleep matters just as much as the hours you get. How do you create a sleep-friendly space? Share your tips below. 4. Caffeine overload, the hidden stress trigger. That third cup of coffee might keep you going, but caffeine's stimulant effects can mimic anxiety symptoms, jitters, heart palpitations, and a racing mind. Studies link high caffeine intake to increased anxiety risk, and fizzy drinks pack a double punch with sugar and caffeine. Professor Robinson advises eating before your first cup to slow caffeine absorption. But here's the catch. Cutting coffee isn't a magic fix. It's about finding your personal threshold. What's your caffeine limit? Let's hear your story. 5. Emotional eating, the sweet trap. Craving chocolate or chips when stressed? You're not alone. The endorphin boost from food can feel comforting, but over time, it can lead to emotional overeating or even food addiction. A Mediterranean diet, rich in whole foods, healthy fats, and lean proteins, has been linked to better anxiety outcomes. But Professor Robinson cautions against cutting out comfort foods entirely. Balance is key. The question is, can you enjoy treats without guilt? What's your go-to healthy snack when anxiety strikes? Share your favorites. 6. Sedentary lifestyles, the movement deficit. Sitting too much isn't just bad for your posture. It's a risk factor for anxiety. Exercise releases endorphins and reduces inflammation, much like SSRIs. Aim for 150 minutes of cardio weekly, whether it's walking, swimming, or a dance class. Yoga and other mindful exercises can also help. But here's the challenge. Starting is often the hardest part. How do you stay motivated to move when anxiety is high? Let's brainstorm solutions together. FAQs, your burning questions answered. Does anxiety worsen with age? While clinical anxiety peaks in adulthood, older adults often manage it better due to improved emotional regulation. But this isn't a given. Lifestyle still plays a role. Can anxiety ever go away? For many, symptoms subside over time, but treatment is crucial. Around 75% of people with anxiety disorders see significant improvement with the right care. Why does anxiety spike at night? With fewer distractions, the mind turns inward, fueling rumination. Plus, worrying about sleep can create a vicious cycle. How do you break this pattern? Share your strategies. Final thoughts. Anxiety is as unique as you are. What works for one person might not work for another. If your anxiety is interfering with daily life, consult a GP for tailored treatment. Remember, small changes, like adjusting your sleep routine or swapping coffee for tea, can make a big difference. But here's the final question. What's one habit you'll change today to take control of your anxiety? Let's start the conversation in the comments.